smaller breasts tend to stay in shape longer than larger breasts. This is because when you have larger breasts, the ligaments are doing more work to support the weight of the breast. What's up, beautiful people? Welcome to another exciting episode of Health Savvy with Dr. O. You already know. And today we're actually discussing something really interesting. Yeah, I know. This is a question people always ask. You read about it, articles talking about it, memes talking about it. Some people even make it, as a joke and stuff like that. Anyway, enough of the suspense. Let's jump right into it. Today we're going to be talking about 6 reasons why breasts sag. Yeah, breast sagging is like a nightmare for every woman. Like every woman wants their breasts to continue to look perky, firm, round, and very attractive. Because that's part of what people consider to be beauty, right? So you can imagine when you get to the point where you notice that your breasts are sagging, or your breasts are falling, or your breasts are bowing to gravity, like some people would describe it. It can be really depressing for some. So we need to know, because the first step to solving a problem is knowing its cause. So in order to solve the problem of breast sagging, we need to know, why does the breast sag? So that's what we're about to talk about today. 6 reasons why your breast sag. So before we start, I'd like to point out 2 things for you. There are 2 mechanisms that cause the breast to sag. First of all, for your breast to stay upright, looking firm and sexy, there are 2 things that are involved. 1, there are ligaments in your body that are actually supporting the breast, helping it to stand upright. So if these ligaments are stretched, right, you can imagine when you stretch something, it becomes slack. So it's not able to hold the breast upright, right? It's not able to support the breast like it should. So the breast starts to fall. So number 1 is the ligaments. The second one is elasticity of the skin. So you see that skin surrounding the breast, right? Elasticity means that when you stretch something, it's able to go back to its normal size when you release it, right? So for example, if you stretch a rubber band, it's elastic. When you release it, it's going to go back to its normal size. So it's same as the skin. For the skin to continue to look firm, if it stretches, it should be able to go back to its regular size. But the problem is, if it stretches and maybe for some reason the size of that thing reduces and the skin itself doesn't reduce back with that thing, the skin is going to sag and be looking saggy on that thing. So this normally happens, for example, during pregnancy, because I'll talk about that in another episode, right? I'm going to be talking about that in New Mom. So if you're not watching the New Mom series, well, now you're going to have to watch it because of this topic. So basically, when you get pregnant, your breasts grow bigger, right? And when you're done breastfeeding, or if you choose not to breastfeed after you give birth, your breast will go back to its normal size. So it means that it will shrink a bit. So imagine that your breast shrinks and the skin that is covering your breast does not shrink back with it. You have some saggy, flabby skin on your breast, and to give it that sagging effect, which you wouldn't want. So that's one of the mechanisms of sagging: loss of elasticity of the skin and stretching of the ligaments that supports the breast. Now that we know the 2 mechanisms, we're now going to talk about the causes. Why do breasts sag? Why do people have to even deal with this? Okay, so the number 1 cause I'm going to talk about, which unfortunately we have no control over, is age. Yes, I said it, age. So I'm talking about 30s, 40s. I'm talking about, really, when we talk about age, we're really talking about menopause. When you get to menopause, that's the time that people begin to see changes in their breast in I don't want to call it negative way, but that's kind of how people see it, right? You see changes, undesirable changes in your breast at that time. So basically, when you reach menopause, of course, your hormonal balance is going to change. Certain hormones are going to drop and certain hormones are going to be raised and stuff like that. So the change of that hormones will cause certain changes in your body, which you might not want. One of the changes is that as you grow older, that's once you have crossed menopause, your breast starts to shrink in size. They begin to go through something we call atrophy. So they start to shrink in size. And when they shrink, like we discussed, the skin above it, because of age also, the breast will shrink in size, but the skin will shrink back. So it will now become saggy on the breast. That's one of the things that contributes to the breast looking saggy when you're old. The next thing that causes breast to sag is when you exercise without a good bra. You know what a good bra is supposed to do? It's supposed to be like your best friend. It's supposed to give you full support. What does support mean? It means that it's supposed to hold your breast up, right? So it's basically supporting the ligaments that are supporting the breast. So it's helping the ligament to do the work of supporting and carrying the weight of the breast. So if you wear a bra that is not good, the bra is not going to give you that support that you need, especially when you are doing exercise that require a lot of chest movement. Maybe you are jumping or you are jogging, and especially if you have like big breasts, so you know the breast will tend to move with the exercises, and as that is happening, you are actually stretching the ligament, right, that is supposed to be supporting the breast. And you know what happens when that ligament is stretched? It's not going to give your breast the support it needs, and it's going to sag. So in order to prevent sagging, if you are the type of person that exercises a lot, you might want to get a very good bra. Support yourself with a good sports bra if you are the sports person that likes to go to the gym, and just generally wear a good bra that gives you good support. Very, very important. This next point I'm about to talk about is another one that you really have no control over, but because you are aware that you're affected by this thing, you know how to work around it. And this is the size of your breasts. As you might already guess, smaller breasts tend to stay in shape longer than larger breasts. This is because when you have larger breasts, the ligaments are doing more work to support the weight of the breast, right? So chances are they're going to stretch sooner than someone that has smaller breasts that does not even need any support. So that's I wonder why we people with small breasts even wear bra. Like, what are you even wearing the bra for? Okay, I'm just kidding. But on a more serious note, larger breasts need more support, and they tend to stretch the ligament more, so they are more likely to sag before smaller breasts, right? It's just very, very logical. So if you know you have larger breasts, you need to put in extra effort in preventing the sagging by wearing a good supportive bra. This next point I'm about to talk about is closely related to the first one I just discussed. So this is about your BMI. Your BMI is your body mass index. So this is basically your weight in comparison to your height. So basically your current weight based on your height, is it suitable, or are you considered maybe obese or overweight or things like that? So your BMI basically just measures like your weight relative to your height. Is your weight okay for the height that you are? Are you considered overweight? Are you considered obese? You know, or are you considered normal or underweight? Those kind of things. Those are the different categories for BMI. So basically, people that tend to have a high BMI, those in the overweight and obese category, they tend to have larger breasts. And of course, like we said, larger breasts are more likely to sag than smaller breasts. So again, if you have a high BMI, you want to be conscious of this, right? High BMI, big breasts, need to wear a supportive bra to prevent sagging. Don't take it for granted. If you don't get a good bra, your breasts are going to sag faster than they should. So get a very good fitting and supportive bra. In my future videos, I'll talk about good bra, how a bra gives you support, and how to check your size and all that. So look out for that in future episodes. The next point I'm going to talk about is something I mentioned earlier in this video, and this is pregnancy. Yes, pregnancy is not a bad thing. It's by no means a bad thing, right? But when you get pregnant, we all know that your breast tends to look bigger and fuller, and you'll be feeling fly with yourself like, hey, my breasts are looking big. Is this me? Without push-up bra, you're getting the extra push, right? But after you give birth, whether or not you breastfeed, the size of your breast is going to reduce. Maybe slightly, maybe drastically. It just depends on your body type. If you don't breastfeed, it will reduce shortly after pregnancy. If you breastfeed, it will take a long while and reduce only after you stop breastfeeding. The point is, at the end of the day, after pregnancy, everybody's breast is going to reduce. Whether it is after you have finished breastfeeding or if you decided not to breastfeed shortly after pregnancy, but it will shrink, right? It might not shrink to its pre-pregnancy size, but it will definitely shrink to become smaller than what it currently is at the post-pregnancy stage. Remember what I said about skin elasticity. When you get pregnant a lot, right, it means that with each pregnancy, your breast is going big, your breast is going big, is reducing, big, is reducing. There is a chance of the skin losing its elasticity. So in some women, when the breast shrinks back to its regular size, right, the skin doesn't shrink back with it. So it begins to look saggy on the breast, and it doesn't just give a good look and feel. Next point I want to discuss is a very, very important one, and it is weight loss. Now, everybody is all fit, fam. I want to lose weight. I want to keep fit. But you know, when you're trying to lose weight, you have to do it gradually. Don't do anything drastic. Don't go on any crazy diet that's going to make you lose 10 kg in like 2 weeks or 1 week. Because apart from the fact that there are many, many health complications that is probably going to come with that, it's also going to affect your breast, right? If you lose weight drastically, it's going to affect the elasticity of your skin. So your breast is probably going to look saggy because your skin will not shrink along with that drastic weight loss. So you're going to have smaller looking breasts with very saggy skin on top. So yeah, you'll be looking slimmer, but your breasts will not look as nice, which we don't want. So when you're going to be on a diet, right, you want to gradually and slowly take it, reduce it slowly so that the skin can catch up. Don't be faster than the skin of your breast. And this final point I'm about to talk about may not necessarily apply to everybody, but it definitely applies to some people. And if this applies to you, then you should definitely take caution and do something about it. And I'm talking about smoking. Not only is smoking generally bad for your health, it has a lot of harmful effects on your health, but also it's bad for your breasts, right? Because smoking causes skin to lose that elasticity what we're talking about. So if you smoke, you tend to see that your skin is losing that elasticity, and very soon the skin around your breast will start to look saggy, and it doesn't make your breast look nice because your breast would start to sag as well, right? The skin is not holding it properly. So your breast will start to sag as well. So you don't want that to happen. So if you are smoking, I think that's a good reason to quit smoking. I know it's easier said than done, but it takes determination. If you're determined to stop, then you will. You can do it. I'm definitely rooting for you. Okay, so that was all the reasons why breast sag. Let me know, have you heard of any reasons why the breast sag? Like, have you heard of any other reasons apart from these ones I've mentioned? Was this your first time of hearing the reasons I mentioned? What lessons have you learned from today? What are you going to do differently now to prevent your breast from sagging? Let me know in the comment section down below. It's always a joy to have you here with me on this show. And like I always say, a healthy you is a happy you. See you next week.